Hello everybody, this is Jason from Complus2 and I'm here in the Hilton Bar with Steffie Vaan from Onyx Publishing. How are you doing, Steffie?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
That's okay. So you've literally just come out of a Legend Lore game, which is really your own system. And you're going to be doing a Kickstarter for that in sort of mid-autumn. So tell us a bit about that. How did that all start, this collaboration between the fantasy comics and making a system for it?
So Legend Lore runs on a 5th edition D&D engine, but we are tweaking bits of it. But the idea is the comics are about two men and two women, and they open a chest and then they get sucked into a realm, and they discover that they are now a fighter and a spellcaster and a cleric. And we wanted to do a game based on that, but we wanted to really open it up so you can. So if you fall through, you cross, as we call it, you cross into the realm, and you become you as you believe you are. So if I were to cross, I might be a harefoot, which is a halfling-like creature, or an elf. If I think my glasses are part of me, I'm going to keep them. If I think my glasses are not part of me, then I have 20/20 vision. You can change your hair, you can change physical characteristics depending on how you view yourself, because we really want it to be, if we're going to do a game where you play you, then that should be opened up. But the comics, I think it came around because Matt McElroy really loves the comics, and I really love D&D 5th edition. And so he got talking to them, and then he got talking to me, and then it all came together, I think.
Okay, so you said it was sort of more enhanced. So in terms of that, what do you mean? So have you streamlined it a little bit? Is it a bit more crunchy? Have you put in extra rules, for example?
Well, no. What we're doing is different backgrounds, because we want that Earth experience. So you can play a struggling artist, or a Black Lives Matter activist, or whatever you are. But we are changing the magic system a bit, because what happens in the realm is you can get a condition called the mind lock if you cast too many spells that is going to leave you in a really bad place. And we want to get that into the system, but do it in a fun way, so that you're not crippling yourself, you're enhancing your abilities and then taking a penalty in return. We're still playtesting it, so I can't tell you exactly how it's going to work yet, but we are focused on making that something fun. So it's not something that should be thrust upon the player, but something that they choose in exchange for things.
And with sort of slightly sort of grittier subjects, like for example Black Lives Matter, say you're an activist, could you choose to have maybe a flaw of some kind as well? Because there is the flaw part in sort of the regular D&D backgrounds.
I don't know. We're not doing that. Though you can just port them in if you wanted to. But we were figuring, if you're playing you and you have flaws, then you're obviously already embracing that. So if I were to go in and go, I have glasses, then I'm embracing the fact that they might get knocked off my head. Whereas if I didn't want that, I could just say that I don't have them, or I could ask the DM to find a spell that fixes that for me. So we're not doing flaws in that sense, because I don't necessarily think that people are flawed, you know.
That's a fair point. With the actual world itself, once you've gone into this world, yes, you've got your enhanced self, and presumably there'll be lots of others like that who've maybe opened these chests, not just the 4-5 players, etc. But is there anything unique about this world that you've kind of pulled on in order to go into the system?
Well, what we're doing is, because things do cross, it's relatively rare, but it happens. And looking at the comics, I was just like, this is the Notre Dame Cathedral, and this is Japanese architecture, and this. So it was really, so we leaned into that there is a crossing of knowledge and architecture, and you can just go like, this is French inspired. It's clearly that people from France came here and they built these things, or people from France came here, saw this and went back, because that's impossible to know. So there is a sense of, there's a lot of Earth-like things, but in a world that has literal magic. So I think that's a lot of fun. And there's a mix of, they have science, which isn't quite like we would do science. They think it's science, and to us it would be more like alchemy or magic.
Then you've got your regular magic, like say wizardry magic, maybe magic that you pull from yourself for a talent. But in terms of the alchemy, is that something that you can do as a player and sort of craft things?
Yeah, we're doing classes. We're doing an alchemy class and a gunslinger, in case you brought your gun. And we're also doing a crafter class, which leans into this. You're building a phone, and it's not quite like you would expect a phone to work, but you can build items, inspired by. So it's like an arcanist a bit, like an arcane crafter.
And you mentioned about people possibly coming in for a little while, learning things and going back out. Is that also something that players can do? Is that part of the mechanics, or is it more a case of, okay, you go in, this is the world for you to explore?
So one thing we're doing, because we figured out early on that the idea if you went into this realm and your loved ones don't know what happened, is going to be a game breaker for a lot of people. They're just going to be, I want to go home. So we deliberately said that the group and the DM decide for themselves how time works. Could spend days in there and days gone here, but it could also mean that you spent years in there and it's just an afternoon on here, so that you can play with that. But by the same token, groups should decide if they want to be able to move back and forth and then do a much more earth-based game where you're also heading into the realm, or just go, we've discovered that we can spend years in here and then go back home, so we'll do that. So I want to leave that, we have several options, but we want to leave that to the group, because that whole thing of can I go home and when can I go home is going to be, you need to have control of that, because otherwise the game's just going to be one big push to find that portal home.
Sounds fantastic. Well, thanks very much for talking to me today. Best of luck to your Kickstarter, of course, because when this goes live, it will be round about that time. So best of luck to you. And thanks very much for the interview. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steffie. I'm with Onyx Publishing, and I've developed the Legend Lore RPG. And I would ask you to please donate to the Butterfly Project, because they are helping children through role-playing, which is really the best way to do it.